of the water skin could quench their thirst slightly. Abbas embraced the children and he said, "Oh children, worry not, your uncle shall bring back some water for you." He rushed to Hussein. He said, "Oh Hussein, allow me to bring some water back for these thirsty, dying children." Hussein looked at Abbas as if a brother knows that this is the last time he beholds the apple of his eyes. He says, "Oh Abbas, go in the way of Allah." Abbas comes to Hussein, kisses Hussein on his forehead. Then when he ascends his horse, he looks towards the sky. And with yearning in his heart, he speaks with Allah and he says, "Oh Allah, do not disappoint me. Allow me to bring water back for these thirsty children." Abbas, he goes towards the Euphrates. As he is going towards the Euphrates, there is a blockade. He removes them in the morning of Ashura. And I need to narrate this. When Zuhair Khan approaches Abbas, Zuhair Khan said, "Oh Abbas, do you know your father asked you from Allah for a day like this?" Abbas, in a rage, placed his feet within the stirrup to the extent that the horse came to the ground. He said, "Oh Zuhair, do you not know how sensitive this time is? The enemy may ambush the tents from the back, and I am keeping guard. But because you have mentioned the name of my father, I shall lend you a listening ear." Zuhair said, "Your father prayed for a son like you to defend Hussein on such a day." He said, "Zuhair, do you incite me? By Allah, I shall show you something that you have never seen before." And Abbas took a spear and went into the battlefield, raged into the battlefield. And a person cursed Imam Hussein from amongst the enemies. Abbas subdued him, and in the process, when he was attacked, 3 attacks were mounted against Abbas. He removed them all and killed 120 people, and then went to that person, and it is said he was holding the spear in his left hand, and he beheaded the man with that spear, and he came back to Zuhair. This was Abbas. When he went to the Euphrates, they mounted attacks upon him. We are told over 1,000 people kept guard. He removed all of them and entered within the Alqama of the Euphrates. When he entered in the Alqama, he cupped the water, and as he raised the water, he remembered the wasiyah of Ali ibn Abi Talib. On his deathbed, Mawla Ali had summoned him and said to him, "O Abbas, on the day of Ashura, you will reach the water, but be mindful your Hussein will be thirsty." He cupped the water in his hand and he looked at it, and he called out, "Ya nafsu, ba'd al-Hussein huni." "O nafs, O soul, submit to death after Hussein. This is Hussein waridul manuni. Do you not see? This is Hussein surrounded by death. وَتَشْرَبِينَ مِنْ مَاءٍ مَعِينٍ. And will you drink from the cold water?" Then in a rage, he drops the water and calls out, "Wallah ma hada fi'alu dini." By Allah, this is not the dictate of Abbas's faith. He fills the water skin, places upon his shoulder, comes out of the Euphrates, battles with the enemies. As he battles with them, they realize that they cannot overcome Abbas. Somebody goes and hides behind a bush. As Abbas is fighting, he strikes Abbas from behind, severs Abbas's right arm. As Abbas's right arm is cut, Abbas cries out, "Even if you cut my right arm, I shall not cease to defend Al-Hussein." Abbas takes his sword in his left hand and begins to fight. Again they ambush him and they strike on his left arm. When they strike and his left arm is severed, Abbas grips the water skin in his teeth and still directs himself to the tent. As Abbas is going towards the tent, we are told that 2 arrows were released in the direction of Abbas. One penetrated into his eye, and the other into the water skin. As Abbas saw the water falling before him, he stopped his horse. As he stopped his horse, they surrounded him and they started cutting him with their swords. And in that, somebody came and struck Abbas's head from the back with an iron mace. As he struck Abbas's head with the mace, Abbas lowered his head upon the mane of the horse, and the horse began to move. And as the horse moved, they started striking Abbas with their swords. And they struck Abbas with their swords. What descended on the plains of Karbala was not Abbas ibn Ali, were the pieces of the body of Abbas ibn Ali. As this was happening, when Hussein saw that the alam has fallen, he grabbed his back and he cried out, Al-an inkasara dhahri wa qallat hilati. Now my back has broken and my means have become devastated. He ascended Zuljana and cried out, Wa Abbasa! Oh Abbas, I cannot sit. I have no resolve left. O Abbas, call me to you, for I cannot see no longer. Zuljana is going. Hussein is crying out, Wa Abbasa. Hussein cannot see. Zuljana stops. Have you found my brother, O Zuljana? The horse refuses to move. As Hussein descends, he says, O Zuljana, my Abbas does not lie here. When he looked closely, he found the right arm of Abbas. He picked it up and cried out, Wa Aliya wa Muhammada. He kissed the arm of Abbas and said, O Abbas, call on to me. And then he struggles and almost crawls, and he finds the lion of Ali slain and fallen on the plains of Karbala. Hussein sits defeated next to Abbas, lifts Abbas's head, places it into his lap. Abbas moves his head. Hussein once again lifts the head of Abbas, places it into his lap. Abbas once again removes his head. Hussein observes that Abbas is saying something. He draws near to Abbas, and Abbas is saying, Oh man, wait for a while. Let my brother arrive before you behead me. Hussein called out, Wa Abbas, it is I, your Hussein. Abbas said, Oh master, forgive me. There is an arrow in one of my eyes and wound in another. I could not see you. Hussein took the head of Abbas, clasped it against his chest, and cried out aloud in a way that all enemies and animals began to cry. Hussein looked at them and he said, Now you cry. After you have killed my brother, you cry. When Hussein was pleading with them and with Abbas, he observed tears in the eyes of Abbas. He said, Dear Abbas, what brings grief to your heart at this point? He said, Oh brother, how may I not cry when I see you lifting my head from the dust, cleansing my face and wiping my tears? And I know it will not be long when your thirsty neck will be cut with a blunt blade, and there will be no one to come to your aid. I will say, O Abbas, his mother Fatima may come to him, O Abbas. Hussein asks, O Abbas, is there anything you wish to bequest? He says, Yes, O Hussein. Do not carry my body back to the tents. He said, Why, O Abbas? He said, I had promised your Sukaina some water. I shall be embarrassed of her. And if Zainab were to see me in this state, Zainab's resolve will break. When Hussein heard this, he could not contain himself. He fell to the ground. And he said, Oh Abbas, what am I to do after you? Abbas breathes.